Hi, my name is Michael, and I want to tell you a story about how I started learning English. I live in a small, peaceful town surrounded by beautiful hills and fields. Everyone in my town knows each other, and we all get along very well. I love living here because it feels like one big family. But I am also very curious about the world outside my town. Ever since I was a little boy, I have loved meeting new people and hearing their stories. I am very interested in different cultures and traditions. I often ask my parents about other countries and what life is like there. They tell me about the delicious foods, the exciting festivals, and the different ways people live their lives. All these stories make me want to see the world for myself. One sunny afternoon, I was sitting under my favorite oak tree in our backyard, reading a book about world geography. The book was full of colorful pictures of different countries, their landscapes, and their people. As I turned the pages, I imagined myself visiting these places, trying new foods, and making friends from all over the world. That's when I had an idea. To really connect with people from different countries, I needed to learn a common language. I decided that learning English would be the best way to do this. English is a language spoken by many people around the world. I thought that if I learned English, it would help me travel to different countries, understand different cultures, and make new friends. I also realized that being good at English would help me in school. My teachers often tell us that English is important for many subjects, like science, history, and even math. I wanted to do well in my studies, and I felt that learning English would give me a big advantage. As I thought more about it, I became very excited. I could see myself speaking English fluently, chatting with new friends, and exploring new places. I felt ready to start my English learning adventure. That evening, I decided to tell my parents about my plan. At dinner, I said, "Mom, Dad, I want to learn English." They looked at me with surprise, but quickly smiled. "That's a wonderful idea, Michael," my mom said. "Learning English will open many doors for you." "We are very proud of you," my dad added. "We will help you in any way we can." Hearing my parents' support made me feel even more confident. I decided to start learning English right away. I made a list of things I needed. First, I wanted to get an English dictionary. This would help me understand the meaning of new words. Next, I wanted to find some beginner English books that would be easy to read. I also thought it would be helpful to have a notebook where I could write down new words and phrases. Additionally, I planned to look for videos and apps online that could help me practice English. The next day, I went to the library with my parents. We found a good English dictionary, some simple English storybooks, and a notebook. I felt excited and ready to begin. When we got home, I started looking for English learning videos on the internet. I found many interesting videos with lessons on basic vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. I also discovered some fun language learning apps that made practicing English feel like playing a game. I knew that learning English would be challenging, but I was determined. I decided to set some clear goals for myself. First, I wanted to learn the English alphabet and basic words. Then, I planned to learn simple sentences and common phrases. My goal was to be able to have basic conversations in English within a few months. Every day, I spent some time practicing English. I used my dictionary to learn new words and wrote them in my notebook. I read the beginner books and tried to understand the stories. I watched the videos and practiced saying the words out loud. Sometimes, I sang along with English songs to improve my pronunciation. I also practiced speaking English with my parents. They didn't know much English, but they were happy to help me practice. We would try simple conversations like, "Hello, how are you?" and "I am fine, thank you." It was fun and made me feel more confident. Learning English was not just about studying, it was about opening doors to new adventures and experiences. I felt excited every time I learned something new. I knew that each step was bringing me closer to my dream of exploring the world and making new friends. My journey to learn English was just beginning, but I was ready for the challenge. With a heart full of dreams and a mind eager to learn, I took my first step into the world of English. I couldn't wait to see where this new adventure would take me. I knew that learning English would be a big task, so I decided to set some clear goals for myself. First, I thought about what I wanted to achieve and how I could do it step by step. My first goal was to learn the English alphabet. I knew that understanding the alphabet was the foundation of learning any language. I wanted to be able to recognize and write all the letters, both uppercase and lowercase. This would help me read and spell words correctly. Next, I decided to learn some basic words. I thought about everyday words that I would need to use often. Words like apple, book, cat, and dog. I made a list of these words and planned to learn a few new words each day. I wanted to make sure I knew how to pronounce them correctly and understand their meanings. After learning basic words, my next goal was to form simple sentences. I wanted to be able to say things like, "I like apples," "This is a book," and "The cat is on the table." Understanding how to put words together to make sentences was very important. I knew that this would help me communicate better. I also aimed to have basic conversations in English within a few months. I imagined myself talking to new friends, asking questions, and answering them. Simple conversations like, "Hello, how are you?" and "I am fine, thank you," were my initial targets. Being able to talk with others in English was one of my main goals because it would make learning the language more fun and useful. With these goals in place, I felt ready to begin my English learning journey. I was excited and determined to learn. I knew it would take time and effort, but I was prepared to work hard. Each small step would bring me closer to my dream of speaking English fluently. I started by making a plan for my daily practice. Every day, I would spend some time learning the alphabet, practicing new words, and forming simple sentences. I would also try to have short conversations with my parents and friends, even if it was just a few words. I believed that practicing a little every day would help me improve steadily. Having clear goals made me feel confident and organized. I knew what I needed to do and how to do it. I was ready to start my English learning adventure with a positive attitude and a lot of enthusiasm. This decision marked the beginning of an exciting journey, and I couldn't wait to see my progress in the coming weeks and months. My first step in learning English was to start with the alphabet. I knew that knowing the letters was the foundation of everything else. So I decided to make learning fun by creating colorful flashcards. Each flashcard had a big, bold letter on it, along with a picture of something that started with that letter. For example, A had a picture of an apple, B had a picture of a book, and so on. Every day I practiced with my flashcards. I would look at the letter, say its name, and then say the word that matched the picture. A, apple. B, book. C, cat. I did this over and over until I knew all the letters by heart. Sometimes I would mix up the flashcards and try to put them in order again. Other times, I would ask my parents to quiz me on the letters. This daily practice helped me remember the alphabet quickly. Once I felt confident with the alphabet, I moved on to learning basic vocabulary. I started with words for everyday items. I made a list of simple words like apple, book, cat, dog, car, and house. Just like with the alphabet, I made flashcards for each word. I drew a picture of the item on one side and wrote the word on the other side. Every day, I would go through my vocabulary flashcards. I looked at the picture, said the word out loud, and then flipped the card to check if I got it right. If I made a mistake, I would repeat the word several times to remember it better. I also tried to use these new words in my daily life. For example, when I saw an apple, I would say, apple. When I picked up a book, I would say, book. This helped me connect the words to real objects and remember them better. After I learned a good number of basic words, I started studying simple grammar rules. I learned how to form basic sentences using the words I had learned. For example, I learned to say, I like apples. This is a book. And the cat is on the table. I practiced making sentences with my vocabulary words every day. I wrote them down in my notebook and read them out loud. I also used my flashcards to make sentences. I would pick a few cards and try to make a sentence with the words on them. For example, I would pick the cards for cat, on, and table, and say, the cat is on the table. This was a fun way to practice and helped me understand how to put words together. Daily practice was very important. Every day I spent time with my flashcards, learned new words, and made sentences. I practiced speaking, reading, and writing. The more I practiced, the more confident I felt. I could see my progress, and it made me happy. Learning a little bit every day helped me improve steadily. Sometimes I faced challenges. Some words were hard to remember, and some sentences were difficult to make. But I didn't give up. Whenever I made a mistake, I practiced more until I got it right. My parents and friends were very supportive. They encouraged me and helped me practice. This made the learning process more enjoyable and less stressful. By focusing on the basics, I built a strong foundation for my English skills. Knowing the alphabet, learning basic vocabulary, and understanding simple grammar rules were the first steps in my English learning journey. These steps helped me feel more confident and ready to take on more challenging aspects of the language. I was excited to see how much I had learned in a short time. This motivated me to keep going and to set new goals for myself. My English learning adventure was just beginning, and I couldn't wait to learn more and improve every day. I understood that listening and speaking were crucial for learning a new language. I wanted to hear how English sounded in everyday conversations and be able to talk with others. That's why I started practicing listening and speaking in English. First, I began listening to English songs. I chose songs with clear lyrics that I liked. I listened to them repeatedly, trying to understand every word. Sometimes, I looked up the lyrics online and sang along. This helped me learn new words and phrases while enjoying the music. I also started watching my favorite cartoons with English subtitles. This way, I could read along as I listened to the characters speak. It was exciting to see how the words I learned were used in different situations. I paid attention to pronunciation and how sentences were formed. To improve my speaking skills, I joined a local English class. In the class, I met new friends who were also learning English. We practiced speaking together, taking turns asking and answering questions. It was comforting to know that others were learning too, and we helped each other improve. Outside of class, I found a language partner named Sarah. She was a native English speaker who wanted to learn my language too. We met once a week to practice speaking English together. We talked about our hobbies, families, and favorite things. Sarah corrected my mistakes gently and taught me new words. It was a relaxed and enjoyable way to practice speaking English in a real-life setting. Practicing listening and speaking every day made me more confident. I could understand conversations better and express myself more clearly. It was challenging at times, but I was determined to keep learning. With each song I listened to, cartoon I watched, class I attended, and meeting with Sarah, my English skills grew stronger. I was excited to continue learning and improving, knowing that each step brought me closer to my goal of speaking English fluently. To get better at reading and writing in English, I started reading simple books. I loved stories about animals and exciting adventures. I found books with easy words and interesting pictures that helped me understand the story. Every day I spent time reading, slowly but steadily improving my reading skills. As I read, I learned new words and saw how sentences were formed. One of my favorite books was about a brave dog who went on a big adventure. I enjoyed following the dog's journey and imagining myself in those exciting places. Reading these stories not only entertained me, but also helped me learn new vocabulary and sentence structures. To practice writing, I started keeping a journal in English. At first, it was challenging to write about my day in a language that was still new to me. I had to think carefully about each word and how to put them together to make sense. But with practice, it became easier. I wrote about what I did, how I felt, and things I learned. Sometimes, I wrote about my dreams for the future and the places I wanted to visit. I also labeled items around my house with their English names. I put labels on things like door, table, chair, and even window. This helped me remember the words and use them in sentences. For example, I would say, I open the door, or I sit at the table. It made learning English feel more real and practical. Every day, I practiced reading and writing. I read books, wrote in my journal, and used English words in my daily life. The more I practiced, the more confident I became. I could see my progress as I read more fluently and wrote more clearly. Reading stories and writing in my journal became some of my favorite activities. Learning to read and write in English was a big step for me. It allowed me to explore new worlds through books and express myself through writing. I knew that improving these skills would help me in school and in my future adventures. With each book I read and each journal entry I wrote, I became more excited about learning English and all the possibilities it brought. Along my journey to learn English, I faced some challenges. Some words were hard to pronounce, and I often forgot new vocabulary. It was frustrating at times, but I didn't let it discourage me. Instead, I used these challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. One of my biggest challenges was pronunciation. Some English words had sounds that were unfamiliar to me. I practiced saying them over and over again, listening carefully to native speakers and trying to mimic their pronunciation. It took time and patience, but I kept practicing until I got it right. Another challenge was remembering new vocabulary. There were so many words to learn, and sometimes I would forget them after just learning them. To overcome this, I used flashcards and repetition. I would write down new words in my notebook, make flashcards for them, and review them regularly. This helped me remember and reinforce what I had learned. Despite these challenges, I didn't give up. I stayed motivated by setting small goals for myself. For example, I would challenge myself to learn 10 new words each week. Every time I achieved this goal, I rewarded myself with something I enjoyed, like my favorite ice cream or a movie night with my family. These rewards kept me motivated and excited to continue learning. I also sought help from my friends and teachers whenever I struggled. My friends in the English class were very supportive. We encouraged each other and shared tips on how to improve. Our teacher was also there to guide us, answer our questions, and provide extra help when needed. Knowing that I had their support made me feel more confident and determined to keep going. Learning a new language is not always easy, but facing these challenges made me stronger and more resilient. Each obstacle I overcame was a step forward in my English learning journey. I learned to be patient with myself, celebrate small victories, and keep pushing towards my goals. With every day that passed, I could see myself improving. My pronunciation became clearer, my vocabulary expanded, and my confidence grew. I knew that with perseverance and determination, I could achieve my dream of speaking English fluently. The challenges I faced only fueled my motivation to learn more and become better each day. As I continued to work hard on learning English, I began to see the results of my efforts. I could now have simple conversations in English with my friends and classmates. It felt amazing to be able to talk about my favorite games, ask questions, and share my thoughts in a language that was once unfamiliar to me. Every day, I practiced speaking English with my friends. We would talk about our hobbies, school activities, and things happening in our lives. Sometimes, we would even practice asking and answering questions in English, just for fun. It was exciting to see how much I could communicate in English, and my friends were impressed by my progress. I felt proud of how far I had come. Learning a new language was challenging, but I didn't give up. I kept practicing listening, speaking, reading, and writing every day. The more I practiced, the more confident I became in using English. Of course, I knew there was still a lot to learn. English has so many words, grammar rules, and expressions to master. But I was no longer afraid of challenges. Instead, I felt confident and excited to continue my English learning journey. Looking back, I could see how much I had grown since the day I decided to learn English. From learning the alphabet and basic vocabulary to having conversations and expressing myself confidently, each step was a milestone in my progress. I knew that with dedication and perseverance, I could achieve even more in the future. My journey to learn English was not just about learning a new language. It was about opening doors to new opportunities, connecting with people from different cultures, and expanding my horizons. I was grateful for the support of my family, friends, and teachers who encouraged me along the way. I was excited about the possibilities ahead. With each day of practice, I was one step closer to achieving my goal of speaking English fluently. I couldn't wait to see what else I could accomplish on my English learning adventure. As I looked back on my journey of learning English, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. I had started with simple goals and faced many challenges along the way, but through perseverance and dedication, I had made significant progress. Reflecting on my journey, I realized just how much I had learned. From learning the alphabet and basic vocabulary to practicing listening, speaking, reading, and writing, each step had contributed to my growth. I could now have conversations in English, read books, and write about my thoughts and experiences. It was a journey filled with learning, excitement, and moments of overcoming obstacles. I wanted to share my experience and encourage others who were also learning English. Don't give up, I said to anyone who would listen. Set clear goals, practice daily, and stay motivated. You can do it. These were the strategies that had helped me stay focused and make progress every day. I knew that with determination and effort, anyone could learn English or achieve any goal they set their mind to. I shared my tips with my friends, classmates, and anyone else who wanted to learn. I encouraged them to practice speaking, listen to English songs, watch movies with subtitles, and find language partners. I told them about the joy of learning new words and the satisfaction of having conversations in English. My goal was to motivate and inspire them to keep practicing and never give up on their dreams. My English adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. I was eager to continue learning, exploring new topics, and improving my language skills. I wanted to travel the world, meet new people, and experience different cultures. English had opened doors for me, and I was excited to see where else it would take me. Looking ahead, I knew there would be more challenges and opportunities to learn and grow. But I was ready. Armed with determination, curiosity, and a passion for learning, I was prepared to face whatever came next on my English learning journey. I felt grateful for the support of my family, friends, and teachers who had encouraged me along the way. Their belief in me had fueled my motivation and kept me going, even when the journey seemed difficult. I knew that I was not alone in my quest to learn English and achieve my goals. In conclusion, learning English had been a transformative experience for me. It had empowered me to communicate effectively, broaden my horizons, and pursue my dreams with confidence. I was excited about the future and the endless possibilities that learning English had brought into my life. With enthusiasm and determination, I was ready to embrace the next chapter of my English adventure and continue growing, learning, and exploring.